Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tier List podcast. Got a bit of another continuation today. We are looking today at Premier League goalkeepers. I am joined today by Collins,
I can't believe we've came back to it after how calm and collective the central midfielders went.
Neil,
Hello.
Ritson,
Hi.
and Paddy.
Hello.
And before we get into it, we'll do what we did last time and go through the tiers before we start. So we have world class for top draw, first teams the second tier, squad players the middle, bench at best is fourth, and last is transfer list. So is it the same as our other Premier League tiers?
Yep. It is, yeah. It is.
Yeah,
which
okay.
definitely hasn't led to arguments.
Yeah. Before we kick off, how have we been?
Since yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Not looking forward to this one because it's goalkeepers. And who cares that much about goalkeepers?
But there genuinely should be two. There should be two tiers.
But it is important.
There should be three tiers. You'd have them in your starting 11. You'd have them on the bench, or you'd sell them.
You say this now. When
that's no fun.
Because 5 tiers is good because you can distinguish keepers from good and world class as well. So,
yeah, I agree. And do you want to get straight into it?
Go on.
Well, technically, this is Paddy's choice, so you may go first, Sunshine.
Why don't we start with Tim Krul? We'll start at the bottom of the pile.
Start from the bottom now here.
Okay. And I'm not saying he's the worst keeper on this list, but he's at the bottom club. And it would be very easy to say has he conceded the most goals this season?
Probably.
Well, Norwich have conceded a lot of goals. He's at the worst team. It would be easy to say bottom tier, but you've got to think about what's in front of him in terms of his defence. You've got to think about the way the style of play is very open. They just came up from the Championship, which he helped them to do. He's got a lot of pedigree as a goalkeeper. I think we remember him coming on for Netherlands in the World Cup, getting them to the semi-finals in that penalty shootout. You remember he was very good at Newcastle in the past as well. So he's got a bit of pedigree. What do you all guys think of Tim Krul?
I mean, he's Norwich's Player of the Year, which says a lot about Norwich.
Yeah, it does. He's a bit of a penalty specialist, I guess. Like that, when you think about that shootout, he was brought on specifically for it, and also he's saved 2 of the 5 penalties he's faced this season. That's pretty good ratio.
They were in the same game though, I think.
Against
Man United.
That's still a good ratio. 2 out of 5. I'd take that. Yeah, he's definitely not the worst keeper in the league. I definitely know who I think is the worst keeper in the league, but we'll get onto that later. I think he's always been a pretty solid keeper, in my opinion, anyway. I haven't really paid too much attention to other teams this season, so I don't really know too much. But, I mean, if we're going off, like, save percentage and stuff, he's not, considering he's got Norwich's defence in front of him, he's not doing terribly.
Well, you got to think as well, this isn't his first time in the Prem. He had a respectable career at Newcastle as well. And he did an all right job there, played 160 league games for him. And I think he is a decent keeper. He's not someone of like high stature. You wouldn't see him in probably a top 8 club, I'd say. But I think he'd be decent for like the rest, really, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if we got him as a backup keeper for Liverpool, I don't think I'd complain too much. But again, I'm not someone who watches Tim Krul with an avid eye.
I think he has been a little bit error prone this season, but when you're conceding as many shots as he is, you're probably gonna have a bit more errors naturally. Sure. He's 7th highest ranked on Norwich's Who Scored, but to be fair, some of the players ahead of him don't play that much. Yeah. So really, he's about maybe 4th or 5th highest ranked.
I think the Who Scored ratings for like keepers is quite bad to go off because they don't really have many, like they don't have like stats for that kind of thing. So it is harder to judge keepers off that kind of things. But there are other websites you can use. Like I'm looking here, and there's a stat like there's goals conceded compared to the expected goals that they're from chances that have been against them, the amount of shots they faced, etc. And he is outperforming what he is expected to have conceded by 1.4 goals. So pretty solid. I can't see him going any higher than the third tier, but I probably wouldn't put him lower either.
Neil, what do you think?
A good old head to have on your team at this point, I'd say, with a wealth of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Second most saves Premier League this season, which I know it's Norwich, right? But
Yeah.
His save percentage isn't one of the lowest, and of course he's got the 2 penalty saves. That's pretty reasonable, right? But it's whether you can, does that mean he's any better than the bench? I'm not entirely sure if there's anything like that would suggest to me that he is.
Yeah, I reckon he'll be in the Prem next season, but more as a reserve. I don't see him going down with Norwich, to be honest with you. I think
Norwich could sell quite a few players, to be honest.
No, to be honest, I could see him staying. Of all the players, I could see him staying. They've got a lot of people that would want some of their younger players, but Tim Krul, I think it's perfect for him to be around the Championship, starting, first team every week at this stage in his career.
Depends on his contract situation. If he's running out this year, he's not going to resign, but resign because someone will take him on a free. But no one's paying money for Tim Krul.
No, he's
unless it's very cheap.
We have this debate every time a goalkeeper goes down who looks impressive. Remember David Marshall for Cardiff and how good he was? And how he was definitely going to get into the Prem next season, and nobody went for him.
I think he's at Blackburn now or something.
Well, there you go. He didn't make it to the Prem.
Well, yeah, I think... go on, Colin.
But, Tim Krul, nail on the head. You can't put him any higher than squad player, but it'd be harsh to put him anywhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe you argue bench at best because if you're a Premier League club, do you really want him to be your starter? But,
nah, you probably not. Like like Mangan said, if you're one like the top 7-8 clubs, now you've got like Wolves and Leicester in there, you probably wouldn't want him starting every game, but you'd have him as a backup for sure.
I mean, just looking at this website here, Give Me Sport, they've rated him as statistically the third highest scoring keeper this season. I know you don't want to judge everything on stats, but he's got to carry some weight in this sense.
Yeah,
there you go. Tim Krul signed a 3-year contract June 2019, so he's going nowhere.
It's been a year. You never know.
Yeah, it's 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah, doesn't mean someone could he's not. If he gets transferred, it wouldn't be for much. It'd be like a couple mil, really, but it's possible. And also just to a couple of other things. He's got the second most punches and the third most high claims from like crosses in the league. And obviously, it's Norwich, so he's going to have probably more than most keepers coming at him. But it's still good for him, obviously, to be upwards of those stats. Nick Pope tops the high claim stat by miles as well. But we'll get onto him in a bit.
All right.
Let's take a vote.
Do we want? Yeah, look at voting. Paddy, you start.
I'll say squad player.
Okay, written.
I'll agree.
Neil.
Bench at best.
Yeah, I talked myself into bench at best as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to go bench at best because, like Colin said, we're going to have to look at if he did go to a Premier League team, would you be starting him?
Well, I think you could put.
But that's why it says squad player, not first team.
Yeah, that's why I put him.
Yeah, but let's be honest. That's kind of a poor tier. Do you have a squad player goalkeeper?
No,
well, I think
not really, but
I think if he was a backup, he'd be one of the better backups in the league. So that's why I put him as a squad player instead of bench.
Like there's some backup goalkeepers who literally never play.
Yeah,
but there's some that get thrown in like cup games and things like that.
But we're not talking about them.
Fair. No, I'll put him bench at best.
So let's carry on. Written, would you like to continue?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Dubravka from Newcastle.
Okay.
And I couldn't remember what his first name was. I think
Martin.
Martin. I thought it was, but I didn't want to get it wrong.
Strange name for a guy from Slovakia.
Okay, Dubravka. I thought he's a pretty decent keeper, to be fair. Whenever I think he has made a couple of errors this year, if I'm not mistaken. But I do always seem to remember, like, if I'm watching like one of their games, like Newcastle v, well, it wouldn't be like Newcastle v Norwich, I wouldn't watch that. But if it's Newcastle v like Chelsea or whatever, I usually like have a good memory of him making like some nice saves and being like just a general solid keeper. I also see online that Newcastle fans seem to be quite fond of him in goal. So I'm trying to look at some of his stats now, and they're pretty damn solid. He's conceding a lot less goals than he should be. Apparently, his save percentage is 10th in the league, which is pretty decent, and it's very very close to the few guys who are ahead of him in that department as well. He's got, I think I saw him in, what stats is this? Oh, he's joint 7th for high claims, and I think he's got one of the most saves in the league. Hang on,
he's got the most.
He's got the most. He's got the most saves in the league. Again, Newcastle, so they are, compared to like Liverpool or City, going to face more shots, but still, he's got 9 more saves than Tim Krul in second, and has conceded less. So I think a pretty good keeper.
I mean, let's be honest. If it wasn't for the defense and Dubravka in particular, Newcastle would be relegated because do they not score goals?
I think fair play to him. Steve Bruce has done a decent job with him. I think most people would have said he's going down because he's considered a bit of a dinosaur in terms of how long he's been going. But Dubravka's been someone who's always really impressed me. He started out on loan there, and he's really done a solid job. Like when I've seen him, I've always been quite impressed. So, like, anyone else got any good suggestions about it?
I really like Dubravka. I think he's an excellent keeper. Every time I've seen him, he looks capable of making some excellent saves. You rarely see him make a mistake or anything. And when you look at like Newcastle, like with their squad, they really shouldn't be staying up because it's a really like not very exciting squad to look at. But defensively, there's a solid base there, and they've got some decent centre backs and a very good goalkeeper. And I think he's one of the main reasons they're still in the Premier League.
Yeah. What I meant to say is, compared to the goals he's expected to face, he's actually got outperforming that the second best in the league, behind you Hugo Lloris, surprisingly. So I think that's definitely worth noting. And as Colin said, maybe without him, Newcastle are looking at a much worse situation going in towards the final game of the season. Although this will probably come out after that, but Newcastle
has made 5 errors leading to a goal though.
This season.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying about making a couple errors, didn't I? But
true, this season he has started to like become a bit more error prone, but previously he was known as quite reliable in terms of that. But maybe he slipped off a bit.
That almost makes his him being second in like outperforming expected goals against even more impressive. The fact he's made those errors but still is outperforming most keepers in the league and keeping more expected goals out is probably surprising considering he's had those errors.
Yeah, Neil.
I think you guys have already covered everything. To be honest,
fair enough.
Dubravka is. Do you want a guys vote?
Yeah, go ahead. First team to me.
Okay.
Yeah. First team to me as well.
All right. Yeah. First team round the board. Neil.
Okay. How about where should we go? How about Rui Patricio? pretty good keeper.
He is a pretty good keeper. Any thoughts on him, Neil?
He's a solid keeper, isn't he? He's got a good presence, decent save percentage, all the good characteristics you really want in a goalkeeper.
Yeah, he was part of the Portuguese Inquisition that Wolves took part in. He is solid. He's like I think he's one of those keepers that's sort of Mr. Reliable. Like, I don't really see him make a mistake. There might be times when there's a goal scored that maybe he could have gotten to, but in terms of actual errors, I don't think he's too bad for it. Like,
two errors leading to goals this season. Not too bad. Considering it's such a dangerous position to play.
Yeah.
He's been around for a flipping long time. Like, he's been that Portugal national side for ages. He's been the number one clearly for ages, and he's been a fantastic, reliable, great shot stopper for many years, and he continues to be at the top of his game.
Yes, we're seen as one of the elite goalkeepers, even when he was in Sporting as well.
I mean, he's a two-person club, which, especially with goalkeepers, you really see that. You see goalkeepers move around a lot. So for him to stick with the number one spot in both clubs that he's went to shows that how relied upon he is.
Hang on, would you guys say that? Do you think it's I would have argued the keeper is the position that you stay at one club most often.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Not these days anymore. It's all about moving and moving.
Even these days.
No, I think you rarely see goalkeepers move. I think
no one wants to sell a keeper.
Yeah, because it's a position that's difficult to buy for. It's a position that, like, managers don't feel the need to constantly replace, and they don't want to. They want to just a solid person who's going to be loyal and stay there for ages. It's one of the most, like, loyal positions you'll see in football.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that I think he saved 2 of the 3 penalties he's faced this season.
Yeah, he's saved 2 pens.
Huh?
I know he's saved 2 pens, but I don't know how many he's faced.
No, yeah, reading it here. He's faced 3, saved 2. Now, obviously, it's a very still small sample, but I mean, it's still, it's a good stat to have.
He's excellent from set pieces, even free kicks. I've seen him pull off some incredible saves from free kicks.
Yeah, I've always. Yeah, that's quite a presence, doesn't he? He's pretty tall. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". Always seems to, command his area quite well, and just no real weaknesses. Nothing outstanding, but again, just pretty solid, I think.
Yeah. Neil?
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
No, not really.
Right then, shall we vote?
I'm going to say world class.
I'd agree with you.
I wouldn't. I'd say first team.
I was going to say first team as well.
Yeah, I'd say first team.
We've been outposted. We've been outposted. I don't see any reason to put him anywhere near below world class. But whatever. Move on.
Martin Dubravka has got his Rui Patricio way.
Well,
right,
no.
I'll go next, and I am going to talk about Matthew Ryan.
Okay.
What an interesting player.
Now, why am I talking about Matthew Ryan? Not even I know. Matthew Ryan, he's had a bit of a fall from grace from the medium level of grace he was at.
The medium level of grace.
Look, 2 seasons ago, Matthew Ryan was seen as a good option at goalkeeper, and there was little bits of talks of maybe someone should go for him at a bigger club, but it never came to be. And nowadays, he's had a pretty poor season. A lot of people would argue. I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Only 9 clean sheets, which isn't incredible. It's not terrible, but some of that stood out to me. 0 errors leading to goals. I think that's very impressive for a guy at the club he's at. 0 errors leading to goals in the Premier League. Now that's a great stat, to be fair. and he's been Australia's keeper for a while now. He was at Valencia.
That's not hard.
I know it's not, but he got a little bit of pedigree. He was at Valencia for a bit, but couldn't break into the first team, which is why he moved to Brighton. And I think he's done pretty well since he's been there. Maybe he might have fell off this season. I couldn't really tell you too much. I'm not watching Brighton a lot, but to me, it seems like he's done okay.
Yeah, anyone else have anything to say about Matt Ryan? Because I'll be honest.
Honestly,
I'll be honest.
Paddy summed it up well. He's just said, okay. I think that probably sums him up. He's okay. He's all right. He's not bad.
He's probably the concrete middle of what this tier list is going to be, really. He doesn't... 0 errors leading to goals, that's really impressive, but he's not a name that really jumps off the page. He's one that...
Well, I think he's a victim of the club he's at. I just think Brighton are one of those clubs that they're not a particularly exciting club at the moment.
You could say
Aaron Moy is very exciting.
No, but I'm talking about the club as a whole. Like they don't really, they haven't got that close to relegation. They've kind of floated fairly high above there, and they haven't played the most exciting football. They have a lot of big, tall players. They're not a particularly attractive club at the moment. They could be turned into one.
How can you not be attracted to a club that has an Argentinian called Alexis McAllister?
That's incredible, to be fair. He's got a Scottish grandmother or something, or grandfather.
Yeah, but he's Argentinian. That's great. That alone puts them top tier clubs, in my opinion.
Well,
also, when did he become Matt Ryan with 1 T? Has he always been that way? I'm sure he used to be Matthew Ryan.
No idea, but he has the 12th highest save percentage in the league, which probably does him good in representing him. He's all right. That's all I've got to say. I think
he's got a decent defense in front of him. He's got a big physical defense, so that helps him. But
yeah, so maybe he should place a little higher. So let's take a vote.
I reckon squad player.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I'd say squad player as well.
Squad player.
Yeah, I was almost tempted to put him bench at best, but squad player probably.
I think the 0 errors is
0 errors
has helped them. Yeah,
that's a great start, to be fair.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't mind, I'm going to move to the next one, and I'm going to move. You've noticed, technically, there are 2 Manchester United goalkeepers in this list. I am going to go for the second one, Dean Henderson, currently on loan at Sheffield United. I think he's great. I think he's a really good keeper. The fact that Sheffield United are joint third in the least goals conceded not only shows the system that Sheffield United want to play, but it shows that he is pretty trusted. And the fact that there are calls for him to replace De Gea after that horror show he had last Sunday, was it? Yeah, it was.
Well, I mean, you could recall multiple horror shows this season, to be fair.
And I think the fact that they are looking at him to replace De Gea shows how much he has matured as a keeper in the past couple of seasons, particularly this one, the Prem.
Yeah,
well, it shows his rise and De Gea's fall.
He's been incredible for Sheffield United this year. Let me just go through a couple of things. All right, 3rd highest save percentage in the league, 3rd highest in outperforming his expected goals, 3rd highest, joint 3rd highest, as you say, clean sheets, 9th most saves, but Sheffield United have 3rd least goals conceded. So, that's pretty good considering he's making a lot more saves than 11 more keepers. He's clearly outperforming in that regard. Errors to goals, he's made only 1 error all season leading to a goal.
Was that against Liverpool?
Yeah.
I mean, that bumps him up instantly. He saved that 1 error for us. I mean...
Yeah. I just a very, very good keeper. I don't really think we can say anything bad about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been great, in Liverpool's midfield this season. I mean, he won the Football Writers Player of the Year.
Oh, my God. I was so confused for a second then. Oh, that's awful. You should be ashamed of that.
No, I'm sorry. But they're doing the Henderson name proud. I mean, it's been a good year for Henderson's.
Yeah, Neil, what do you think about him?
Very solid player. Inspires a lot of confidence when you've got him between the sticks. A player who has probably proved that he has a lot to offer a very, very big club, I would say.
Do we think he could replace De Gea next season?
Oh yeah,
I think he could. I don't think he will.
I think he should. He probably should.
De Gea's on 350 grand a week, like hell. They're benching him.
I didn't say that.
Well, to be fair, it's not. I don't care how much he's earning. If I was the manager and he's letting in goals like he has, I'm not going to start him just because he's earning more. It doesn't matter. Like if he's on the bench, he's earning just as much as he is if he's playing. Except he'll be costing my team more if he starts. So, obviously, United are going to try and offload him. I would think.
One thing I really do hope is that if he goes back to United, he just doesn't stay there on the bench because that is a waste of a very good player.
Yeah.
No, I think if he was to stay at Man United, he'd want assurances from them that he was going to play.
Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him go to Sheffield for another season if he's not going to be playing.
He's going to get sold.
I think that's really harsh for
I don't think he'll get sold.
He's going to get sold. No, he is because you're exactly right. He's not going to want to be on the bench. They have De Gea and Sergio Romero, so they're not going to say, "Oh yeah, you are guaranteed to be starting for us next season." And he's going to say, "Okay, fine, then I'm leaving." And he's not going to go to Sheffield because they're going to ask for 50 million because he's an English keeper.
Well, how old's Romero now? He's 33.
Yeah.
So how long do you think Romero will be staying there for?
I mean, Romero. If I were United, I'd be keeping Romero for a while.
Romero's he's probably one of the best.
I think he's the best. I think he's the best backup keeper in the league.
Yeah, he's the best backup in the league.
Like, I mean, Argentina's number one for many years, and he is a fantastic keeper.
Is there anything else we want to say about him, or?
I mean, I think if I was like, this was Football Manager, yeah, and I was in charge of United, I'd be trying to sell De Gea so I could, have Henderson and get rid of those wages of De Gea. But obviously, I don't know who the hell's going to want to take De Gea on.
But in Football Manager, you'd have to sell him for 5 million, but you'd also have to be spending 200 grand of his contract.
Yeah, true. That is true. Oh well, but yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say.
All right,
shall we vote?
I think he's first team.
I was going to say world class.
He's not proven enough to be world class.
Yeah, first team. I mean, you can't put Rui Patricio first team and put him world class. Like, he hasn't proven himself anywhere near as much as Patricio has.
I concur at first team too.
I guess so. Yeah, I get what you mean about the proven, but I just think if it was just off this season, I guaranteed world class. I guess, but yeah, I guess he does need to prove himself.
Right. The second round's on. Paddy, what have you got?
Well, the second round is on, and we're going to go with Fabianski. Now, Fabianski's a player I've liked for quite a while. Even when he was backing up, I can't remember who his first team goal. Oh, was it
Szczesny?
Szczesny at Arsenal, yeah. I've liked him ever since then. I think he came in for like an FA Cup final once, and he had a fantastic game. Szczesny got injured, and he came and he was great. So, and obviously West Ham saw that. And decided, oh no, wait, he went to Swansea after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously Swansea saw that, and I mean, he did fantastic with them. A club that conceded a lot of chances, and he won them a lot of games because of that. And then obviously West Ham. I know, but only so much he can do. And then he went to West Ham, and he's continued to prove himself as an excellent shot stopper. He does have errors in him, but overall, I'd say he's an excellent shot stopper.
Well, you say that he's made 2 errors leading to goals, kept 5 clean sheets.
He's been injured a lot this season, though. Been injured a lot.
That is true. To be fair, he's quite accurate with everything. He is a good keeper. Like, it's tough to explain about Fabianski really for me because I know he's a good keeper, but I haven't seen enough of him to say, oh my god, he's amazing, really.
Well, it's hard to judge because he's been injured.
How old is he?
Well,
He's
Okay,
35. He's been
he's
around
still-
since the 2009-2010 season. You haven't seen enough.
Well, I think what he means is he's probably not watched games with Fabianski in it that much. Because
I mean, I don't think he's watching Poland play in the nationals.
yeah, the thing is, Fabianski he's still played. He's 24 games this season. He has made 2 errors leading to a goal, which, considering he's only played 24 games, is a little. It's not the best. It's not terrible, I guess, either. And then looking at saves, well, saves is actually before you pointed out he's injured, I was going to say he's made the 5th least saves, but West Ham have conceded like the 5th most goals. But considering the amount of games he's played, then that really makes that point void.
Yeah, he's only played 24.
Yeah, but still, he's missed what?
Well, that's
13.
my point. He's missed 13.
Yeah. Missed 13, so yeah, that doesn't matter anymore. He is ever so slightly underperforming his expected goals. So that's nothing because it's a very tiny amount. And his save percentage is the 14th best in the league, which isn't great, but it's not that bad either. And that's only this season's stats, so I don't want to judge him fully on this year, especially since he has missed those 13 games. I think that'd be a bit harsh.
24 games is still a lot. That's still over half the season.
It's still over half the
I
season.
think it's clear to say this season he has lost a step.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's also Fabianski. He's kind of the guy who makes you think, oh, does Who Scored really work that well? Considering how high a rating he's gotten seasons past. I mean, a 7.02 last season was the highest rated goalie. You're gonna tell me he's the best goalie in the league?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
He makes lots of saves, but I feel like he lacks the other qualities of a keeper. He doesn't organize a defense.
He lacks a bit of presence.
He's not a leader. Yeah, he doesn't have that presence of a keeper. So, which is why he probably ends up with so many savable opportunities, because his defense could be better, and that's partly on him. I'm not going to say that's his fault. Obviously, he still does a lot for West Ham, but yeah, there's a reason why he never truly got a chance at Arsenal.
Neil, what's your take on Fabianski?
I don't really know how someone in our position could judge how well a keeper organises his defence. But
we'll get to him later.
There's a lot of mediocrity on this list, and I do wonder how we're going to change it up for every single mediocre keeper on it. Fabianski's just another mediocre keeper that doesn't really have much going for him in either direction, I would say. He's pretty standard, so he probably just IMO deserves to be in the middle of this list.
You know what? I think I agree with that. I think squad player for me.
Yeah, I'd probably put him there. He's probably slowly going down to bench at best at the moment, though.
Yeah, I feel like he's standing on the ledge of falling off onto bench at best. I was a bit torn between those two, but I've no problem being in squad
I
player.
would definitely put him squad player as well.
All right, Ritson, is it you now?
Yeah, let's go for a bit of more interesting player. Let's go for Jordan Pickford.
Oh, he did that already.
Let's throw him in there. Second most errors leading to goals out of the goalkeepers in the league.
Hang on, what?
This year.
That's not true.
3 errors. 3 errors, the same as De Gea, McCarthy, and Ederson. When Ederson likes to run into midfield. But we'll get on to him in a bit. Jordan Pickford is not a good keeper, is he? Really?
Yes,
I mean, he's not. He's got the second worst save percentage in the league, only above. Well, actually, you know what? I won't spoil that. Second worst in the league in terms of the expected goals against. He's third worst, and that's out of like 37 keepers, not just 20 starting keepers. So really not doing good. made errors to lead to goals this year. Then when you think back to last season, you just got to think about that Derby goal, how calamitous that was. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to let you guys talk. I'm interested to.
Yeah, I think the Evertonians need to debate this as well. Like,
yeah. Go for it.
Do we have to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Neil, you can go first.
A player defined by a very, very weak mentality, I would say. A goalkeeper is supposed to be a calming influence on the defense, someone to lead, someone to trust. Now, Jordan Pickford, I don't even know how you describe his actions on a pitch. He looks like he's having a fun night out at the pub half the time. I think he has mental weakness, you know. I think back to a couple of seasons ago, we played Newcastle, and their fans just really got in his head and ruined his performance. That mistake at Anfield, again, I don't doubt, the occasion getting to him. Like, a lot of the times this season, he's made errors or, come close to conceding goal. And you turn around, he's got this big, stupid, bloody smile on his face.
Oh,
look at that. That didn't happen again, or close that one.
All right, look, I'm sure that was nervous laughter.
No, to be fair,
oh God, I really almost messed up.
To be fair,
there.
the worst one I saw of that, as Neil's just suggested, was a couple of weeks ago against Wolves, where the ball managed to go underneath his legs and literally stopped it on the line.
Yeah, that's the one that he was just talking about.
The man's got
that's the only situation that's happened.
There's probably a few more.
That's happened a few times.
Yes.
Yeah. You've seen that Jordan Pickford expression where he's come close to conceding goal, or he has conceded a goal. He's just got some stupid smug look on his face, it's just poor to see a goalkeeper who's supposed to be a calming influence act like that, and I hate it.
The man's got the arrogance of prime Buffon and the ability of Charles Atangi.
Yeah, there you go. That's a throwback.
That is a throwback. I was trying to think of reserve keepers back in the day.
Charles Atangi.
So you got to look at what are his biggest mistakes on an Everton shirt. The biggest one I can think of certainly is the Derby mistake, but I'm trying to think. There is definitely a few more.
I don't think that Derby mistake is
that
as bad
Derby
as
mistake
everyone
is
people
completely overblown.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was one of those situations that's like a 1 in a million situation.
Yeah.
The ball clearly looked like it was just going to bounce over, and he left it, and it just bounced back in off the bar. I mean, when does that happen? I don't want to blame him too much for that.
It did break him though.
It was funny.
Hilarious. I laughed like Jordan Pickford laughed when he almost conceded that goal to Wolves, and I can't believe that almost happened. I couldn't believe it happened. Yeah. Jordan. Look. Do we really have to talk about it? The man's broken. But the fact is that his alternatives at Everton are Martin Stecklenburg and João Virginia, and Lossell, who for some reason we loaned back to Huddersfield, which says a lot about him. Can we just put him in squad player because he's better than a lot of goalkeepers on this list still, and move on?
I wasn't going to put him squad player.
I definitely am not putting him squad player, mate. No,
your votes don't count. You Liverpool fans.
No.
Well, I mean, by that logic, or the only vote that would count is Alisson. We just do a tier list of Alisson and Pickford.
No. Well, no. Let's be honest. There's an inherent bias towards you against Everton players.
Well, you could say the same. There's an inherent bias towards you for Everton players.
Valid point.
Listen. I thought when you had Tim Howard, I was thought good keeper. You got Jordan Pickford. I think awful keeper.
Neil, where would you put him? I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Best.
Oh. Isn't that a damning indictment for a keeper?
I'll be honest, lads. I've debated putting him in transfer list.
I was actually debating that as well.
But I have debated that myself.
There's so many goalkeepers on this list that he's better than.
Nah, I'm putting him bottom tier. Screw it.
Your vote doesn't count, Richardson.
Yes, it does, Collins.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
My vote doesn't count for Alisson.
Okay, you're acting very bitter about this, Saul.
I am not.
I'm being honest. I don't care about Everton players. Like if they're good, like if it's Richarlison, I'll say, oh yeah, quality player. But no, Pickford, no, bad player, bad goalkeeper. I'm putting him in there. I'd sell him if I was Everton.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily. That's not necessarily how you judge the transfer.
No, I know, but I'm also saying like if I was Everton, I'd be thinking, Blumenau, we can do a lot better than this.
Yeah, that's why we keep starting him.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. I mean, just have to recap about what Neil said about your own keeper who starts all the time.
I mean, I don't know if I could say he's on a level below Tim Krul, but I don't.
I think I'm gonna have to put him bench at best. I think we do still see moments of quality from him.
I haven't even talked about his performances for England. He's England's number one, lads.
How
is he though? I think Nick Pope could be England's number one right now.
Until that Gareth Southgate makes that decision, I'm allowed to say he's England's number one.
Wow.
He performs great for England, which really infuriates me.
Yeah, I'm going to say bench at best. I think he's done some decent things at international level.
But lads, he won a penalty shootout for England.
2 years ago.
And the same level he's on. Tim Krul got a penalty shootout.
If saving penalties was an establishment of a good keeper, I mean, Willie Caballero would be top tier.
Yeah,
Willie Caballero is not available as an option. I know. Top tier.
And funny enough, Tim Krul who's also got the penalty shootout, so it's perfect for each other.
I believe I voted for Tim Krul to be world class.
Right.
Best. Move on.
Collins.
Fine. We'll talk about Alisson just to get that out the way. He's very good. Nothing really to say about him.
A very good shot stopper. There are times when he does make mistakes, like involving his feet usually. But he's probably one of the most reliable keepers that Liverpool have had for a while, which is saying something. Which was the last really good keeper for Liverpool.
He's the most reliable keeper we've had in, I don't know, maybe 20 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, probably longer.
I mean, I wasn't watching Liverpool in the 1980s.
The first real quality keeper we've had since Reina. And I'd say he's better than Reina anyway. Yeah, probably the most reliable keeper that we've had in my lifetime anyway. Excellent distribution. He is typically good with his feet, but obviously, he can make the odd error or two. His positioning is probably, the best in the world. He makes shots look so easy to save, just nonchalantly catching them out the air, plucking them, and then, launching a counter-attack with them incredible kicks and throws that he can do, which no one else can do quite as well as he can. Maybe, you might say Edison, but I think he's better at him than that. Just a great world-class keeper.
So when I'm comparing Alisson and Edison, I always say that Edison's slightly better with his feet, but Alisson's slightly better shot stopper, which is why I'd probably rather have Alisson in the team because it's a little more important. But obviously in the modern game, that being able to play with the feet has become very important. And he is brilliant with his feet. He's so composed. And we're using the word reliable to talk about a player who takes so many risks, and which just says a lot about him. And as you said, great point. His positioning, because he makes every shot look so simple. And he doesn't have a lot to do in most games because our defense has been so good recent years. But every time he's called upon, he's alert. He's there. He's ready. And I mean, how often do we see him make a mistake? I mean, he made one against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. That's like the first time I can think he's made a big mistake in a while, in a long time.
Arsenal and Leicester are the big two I can think of, and that's both involved.
The Arsenal one last week, I think he was put in a bit of a poor situation by Robertson with the throw-in anyway, so I don't think it was that big of an error on his part. But obviously the Leicester one from early on last season is probably the one that will come to mind when we're talking about errors for Alisson. So you have to go that far back.
I don't think the debate here is like whether he's what tier he is, because that's obvious. I think it's like the better debate is he the best keeper in the world?
Oh,
I
I
want
want
really.
no. I want to hear the Everton fans' opinions on that question.
Well, for the best keeper in the world.
Yeah.
To me, it's either Oblak or Ter Stegen.
Neil?
I'll say Alisson's the best keeper in the Prem. I will say that through my teeth.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I think Oblak and Ter Stegen are better keepers.
You know, considering you're an Everton fan, that's a pretty nice answer.
That's a fair statement.
Neil, what do you think about that?
See, the thing is, like, when I think of Alisson, it's like I can't think of anything he does, because he never does anything, does he? Like Liverpool's defense is so good, he never bloody does anything. So,
yeah, in that case, just sell him. He's clearly not needed.
Yeah.
Well, clearly he is. We've had Karius there, and my God.
Right.
Honestly, you know, lots of people try to say like he's world class, but it's not actually hard to say because he doesn't really get challenged. When's the last time like he had a difficult shot to save that was going in like the top corner?
Yeah, but
well, there was that one against Barcelona.
Thing is, though, he makes shots look easy to save when they're not because of his position is so good and his concentration is so good, and you've also got to take into account how good he is with his feet as well.
And then you compare it to like De Gea, who sometimes, I'll say sometimes, a lot of times, will make this ridiculous looking dive, but then you see a replay and the shot really wasn't going that far in the corner. But he makes it look like it's one of the best saves of all time. That's the thing with Alisson. He makes things look so easy. People seem to think, oh, well, all the shots he faces are easy. Now, I'm not saying all the shots he faces are hard or anything, but it definitely makes him almost a victim of his own success with how good his positioning is.
Yeah, I think we should vote now. I think there's not much else really to say.
Yeah, he's got to go top tier.
He's world class. I think
has to.
World class.
World class. There's no debate.
Right, it's back to me next, isn't it?
Has Neil had his go?
Yeah, he chose. Wait, who did Neil choose?
If you can't, maybe I didn't have a go.
Oh wow!
Let Neil go then.
Everyone.
I put Alisson transfer
Me in this podcast. Anyway, how about? Well, speaking of Liverpool goalkeepers, how about Pepe Reina?
Yeah.
You know, you remember back to Liverpool when he had like those streaks of golden gloves. I know now being at Villa, it's a whole different ball game, and he's not been the first choice for like the whole of the season. But still a pretty reliable pair of hands. Definitely amongst those relegated teams, he seems to be. What? What did you say?
You constantly singing.
Could you what are you doing?
With Pepe Reina, there's only one thing I can think of, and it's Reina drops the ball on the head.
Wow.
The good old chant from when he accidentally dropped. From when he threw the ball on Andy Johnson's head.
Well, we are so sorry about that, Neil. Please.
That was the last time I was happy as an Everton fan, I think.
Please.
And the beach ball.
Yeah. Please carry on.
Oh, the beach ball moment.
Anyway, back to Neil.
Yeah, Neil.
Don't worry. I think the momentum's been derailed. Why don't you debate it?
Fine.
Go back, Neil. Come on.
No, I didn't have much more to say. Why don't you just debate it?
Reina's a weird one for me because you could tell by the end of his Liverpool career he did start to lose it quite a bit. Like he's back now, probably just for this run only on loan at Villa. I don't see him going back there permanently, to be honest with you. Especially once Tom Heaton's back. He's been okay. It's 2 clean sheets and 11. It's not great, but you've got to think that Villa backline isn't great either.
Mangan, he's old Yeller. Just put him down. He's done.
He's better
done as a keeper.
I'm trying to convince him to put him in transfer list. I'm trying to convince myself to put him in transfer list.
Well,
He is.
the debate here was like whether to put Tom Heaton in or not, because I mean Tom Heaton would be the keeper who they'd have in front of him, but he got injured. And to be honest, I'd be putting Tom Heaton first team. I think he's a great keeper, but
Can't do that if you don't know how he'd actually perform, though.
no, but I'm just saying, like, based on what I've seen in the past from Tom Heaton, I'd be putting there. But in terms of Pepe Reina, I haven't seen a lot of him since he's come back to Villa, so it's hard to say. I mean, in his last stages of his Liverpool career, he was starting to suffer. Incredibly error prone towards the end, and when he made an error, it was always a real bad error. But he was a great keeper for us, gave us some great memories, especially with his penalty saves. Always been a good shot stopper, good with his feet. But at this stage of his career, I'm thinking he's going to be on one of the bottom two tiers.
To be honest, shouldn't we really be talking about who's actually been starting for them this season?
Heaton, Nyland, and Rayner.
There you go. Shouldn't it be Nyland we're talking about then?
Will be Heaton, I think.
No, because Rayner's like been the most relevant one, like as in like he's the one that's relevant at the moment because he's been playing.
Yeah, that's why we chose him. But anyway, that's not really. We're not debating the choices of the actual keeper. We're debating where the keeper that we've chosen are going. So let's focus on that. His save percentage is pretty damn average from the games he's played this year. It's not terrible. It's 1% more than Adrian, so he's clearly not that good anymore. Slightly below Krul, more than Pickford though. But in terms of his performance against expected goals, he is underperforming by 1.3, which, considering he's not played, that much, isn't the best. So I think I'd put him bench at best.
Transfer list.
I think I want to put him transfer list. It pains me to say it because he was such a legend of our club, especially when we were at our worst. But he's not done enough since he's been back. He has been pushed out by Nyland sometimes. And considering Nyland is not a great keeper in himself, it's
rubbish.
It's not good enough, really, for me. Neil?
I think I'd put him bench at best.
Don't do it. Paddy, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I hate to do it, but
no.
He's going transfer list.
Well, your opinion doesn't count.
Too late.
To be honest, if Pepe Reina didn't get put in transfer list, I was genuinely worried no one was going to get put in it this episode.
Yeah, I'd say there's only maybe one or two more that could possibly go there.
Yeah.
Right. Who should I go for next? You know what? I'm going to go up to the top six. Top six, traditionally, not anymore. I'm going to look at Hugo Lloris.
Okay.
He has been a bit injured this season, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. I remember Gazaniga's played a few games, yeah.
He has.
Yeah, of course. He got that big injury against Brighton, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. The arm injury. Oh.
Yeah, the arm injury. So he's made 20 appearances this season.
20 appearances.
It's not that much.
20 appearances, 20 goals conceded, 6 clean sheets, 2 errors leading to goals. It's not bad for someone who, when you look at him, could be considered average to what he is, to what he used to be. He used to be a really good goalkeeper, but I think he's dropped off recently.
I mean, I think that's an understatement. I think he's dropped off massively, like, in the last few years. I mean, maybe 2-3 years ago, we'd be talking him in world class comfortably. I think, is he still France's number one?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
here's an interesting thing about Lloris this season. I think this season, you're looking at stats, he's actually done pretty well. I mean, he's got, of keepers that have actually started more than, 8 games, he's got the highest save percentage in the league. He's outperforming his expected goals more than anyone else. And if you're looking at the amount of saves he's made, he's only made 80 in 20 matches. But if we did that per game, he'd actually be top of the list and have the most saves if we're doing it on a saves per game basis. So when you look at it like that, I think maybe this season he's gone under the radar when you look at it like that.
Possibly because of his injury.
And also Tottenham kind of imploded.
True, yeah, and that's not going to help you as a keeper. But he's done well.
He also started quite slow, didn't he? Or was that last season?
I'm not sure.
I think both seasons he's started quite slow. To be fair.
Yeah, of keepers that typically start, he's top of the list save percentage. He's the only keeper with an 80% save rate, which
Yeah, what I would say,
surprising.
Although that's somewhat impressive, like I think your stats can look a lot better when you've played a lot less games.
True.
Yeah, but I am surprised to hear some of those stats, and I think he's taken a step towards the right direction this season compared to his last couple, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could call him world class anymore.
He won the World Cup 2 years ago.
So did Benjamin Mendy, but we're not putting him in top left back.
Exactly. I mean, Giroud. I mean, I like Giroud, but he's not like a world class striker. So,
yeah.
Just because you've won the World Cup doesn't mean you're world class.
Yeah. Trophies won doesn't equal player ability.
Scott Carson has a Champions League medal. Where's he?
Yeah.
Right. That's a rubbish example because Scott Carson didn't play.
I mean, that's kind of the point. You can play or not play. Like, what's France's competition in terms of goalkeepers right now?
Well, I don't.
Mandanda.
The one person I can
think
of.
Areola.
Oh, Paddy Grow.
Oh, come on. That's a funny name. But you'd have to think if he had more competition, he'd be out of that squad by now.
Hang on. Isn't Areola meant to be available on a free next season?
Oh, there's your replacement.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Chelsea, any chance that you think Jordan Pickford is better than Kepa? Please bid 50 mil.
God, imagine if they had Kepa and Pickford. Poor guys.
They'd still be starting Calabero.
Yeah. Why they should, honestly.
Nah, he's
sunken cost fallacy, my man. Once you they won't admit that they wasted a ton of money. Same reason United won't drop De Gea.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those. I mean, actually, I don't want to talk about Kepa until we get to him, so I'll leave that remark.
Yeah. Neil. Oh, sorry. No, go on, Neil.
I mean, I don't think I have much to add, really. It's, a quality keeper who's kind of gone down in recent seasons, really. Although, I have to admit, the stats are quite surprising, aren't they, really?
Yeah, definitely surprising when I looked at them before. I did not expect Hugo Lloris to be topping save percentage and, outperforming expected goals the most and all that stuff. And then also, not just that, if you look at his high claims and punches per game, it'd actually be like top 3 for both of those. Now, not to say that those stats individually equal good keeper, but the fact he's top or near the top of all those stats that I've mentioned, even though he does have a smaller sample of games, is really impressive and definitely surprising. Should we take a vote?
Yeah, go on. To me, he's world class.
Paddy?
First team for me.
Yeah, I think I'd agree, really. I think he has dropped off a bit. I would say that those stats about him are pretty surprising now.
He's dropped off a bit, but got the best stats in the league.
Yeah, but he's also only played 20 games.
True. Smaller sample, though, and the fact of the last couple seasons. I'm going to put him first team, but I don't know. It's like he's on the edge. I really don't know.
And Neil, your vote?
First team anyway.
I would put him first team too.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Right, Paddy, we're up to you next.
Oh, okay. Why don't we go for Peter Schmeichel's son? Kasper Schmeichel. Sorry, that was disrespectful.
that was pretty.
Why don't we talk about? Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, he's nowhere near his father, but he has been a very good keeper over the last few seasons. I know Leicester's defensive record this season has been pretty good. I mean, they've struggled after the restart, but you've got to have a bit of sympathy with them because, I mean, the situation's been crazy. A start that surprised me, again, 0 errors leading to goals. I mean, I'm pretty sure...
Are you joking?
I'm pretty sure against Bournemouth the other week, I saw him make 2 errors in the same game, leading to goals.
Bournemouth goals were errors from him.
The one that led to a penalty was indirect, I think. So that's why that one.
So maybe it doesn't count. But
I can't honestly can't remember the other goal.
I guess
for Schmeichel to let Dominic Solanke score like that was just.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure that was an error. It was more bad keeping.
Yeah.
But a keeper that I've admired for a while, I think he's had another decent season apart from his... I mean, Leicester really struggled after the restart, and I think he's been someone who's not helped them with that. I like him, though. I think he's shown a lot over the last few seasons.
Yeah, he only had 1 error leading to goal last season as well. So that's pretty good as to take into account. And then if we look at if we go into save percentage, he ranks 4th in the league. It's pretty impressive. He's outperforming expected goals. You know, I think he's 7th. But then again, there's a couple of keepers there that have played less games, so it's a bit. You know, it's still good though that he's high up like that. That's 7th out of 37, not just 20.
The thing is, well, he won the league with a worse defense than that, so it says a lot about him as a keeper. I think he is decent. I think, like you said, after the lockdown, you kind of expect him to be the leader of it, lead the field, really, because he's captain as well, isn't he?
Yeah, says a lot, that as well.
And it's not really work that way.
But I think actually he is a leader. Like you can see, he's very vocal on the pitch. He's always constantly organising his defence. He's very passionate, and that's what you want to see in your keeper. You want a sort of intimidating figure and a presence behind you, and I think he is that.
Neil, what do you think about him?
I can't really add anything from what's already been said. I quite like the leader angle, to be honest. You know, it probably takes quite a lot, doesn't it, for your keeper to be put as your captain, considering his position on the pitch. So, you know, that's quite the accolade for him. And obviously, a Premier League winner.
Yeah. Also, Leicester have conceded the 6th least amount of goals in the league this season. But Schmeichel's made the 10th most saves. So he's actually facing more shots than his defence should be allowing. But they're still quite high up in terms of having one of the best.
So he's playing quite a big part in that.
Yeah, basically. That's what that's saying. Should we take a vote then?
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna say first team player.
First team.
First team for me as well.
I'd actually say squad.
Okay, well, what's your reasoning behind that?
I think he's just fallen off a lot, and over recent seasons, and he's just not as good as he used to be.
His stats this season would suggest otherwise.
Well, the stats this season would suggest that Hugo Lloris is the best keeper in the league.
Well, true, but that's only off a smaller sample as well. So, you know, I get what you mean, but I still think he's even if say he had fell off a bit in the last couple of seasons, I still think he's a really good keeper anyway. So yeah, I got first team. Neil.
I would go first team too. Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm noticing is I just have different opinions to you guys
every single time.
I mean, yeah.
Well, you need that. If we agreed on everything, it would be a boring ass podcast.
Hey, I'm important.
Yeah, you create all the arguments.
All right, then. In that case, is it my go now?
It is written. So,
Is it?
Nice one. Yeah. Well, Paddy just went.
What is that order?
Paddy just went.
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. Anyone can go, but
Okay. Let's talk about De Gea. Yeah,
Save some of the big names for the end.
got some big names, haven't we? Still, have we? Let's talk about. Well, anyway, I've already said it. Let's go with him. Okay, this is a keeper that's definitely fell off in the last couple of years. I think there's no real disagreements on that, right?
the biggest fall from grace out of all of these. People.
Yeah. Second most errors to goals this season. Second most last season as well. 7 errors directly leading to goals over the last 2 years. He's more of a camera keeper, you know. He makes saves look better than they actually are when you look at where the ball's going towards the goal. His save percentage is actually quite good, to be fair. It's the 5th highest in the league. But the amount of errors he's made and the fact his performance against expected goals really doesn't say that he's that great either now. He really has fell from grace. So many blunders that can come to mind. Letting the ball just slip through his hands and just let through his legs, or just bad positioning. You know, I don't know what's happened to him, to be honest.
He's always been a confidence player. Like when he first came to United, remember he was terrible at the start of his United career because it was a mental thing. He just joined a new big club, and he was struggling with the pressure of that. But when he started to build some confidence, some momentum, and then he became this incredible keeper he was making amazing save after amazing save, you know, continuously through the years. And now he started to make a couple of mistakes again, and his trajectory's gone down again. He's such a confidence player. His mental side of the game is not as strong as he is with his hands.
I think we have to look at. I know it's a different competition altogether. Well, his FA Cup performance last week against Chelsea, which really highlights the fall. He's no longer this player you look at and think, how are we going to get past him? It's a bit sad to see, really.
No, it's not. Not for Man United. I love to see it, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, I
do. Make more mistakes, mate.
But let's be honest, halfway through his career, we were talking about whether he was going to be like the best goalie to ever grace the Prem. And now it's just turned into a bit of a shambles. This season, has it started this season, or did it start a bit last season? I think it did.
It was a bit last season.
Last season.
There was a couple of mistakes last season as well that really was like.
Well, that's why it's hard to categorize it as bad form, because it's gone on for such a long time.
Yeah, so I said before, 7 errors over the last.
It started when Ronaldo scored that free kick in the World Cup. The guy didn't make a single save in a World Cup, despite the fact he started every game.
Wait, no saves in any of the games.
Not a single game did he make a save.
That's incredible.
If that's actually true, that is one of the maddest stats I have ever heard. The thing is, 17-18 season, he was unbelievable, right?
Well, he did single-handedly get Man United second in Jose's second to last season before he had his meltdown.
Yeah, and he got the Golden Glove that year too.
Again, was this was his first World Cup where he was the number one starting keeper over Casillas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So then again, you see in the mental side of the game, he couldn't deal with the pressure of that. I mean,
he hasn't recovered.
Simple, yeah.
I mean, you have one more thing I will say: 12 clean sheets and 37. Like,
it's not good enough.
It's not good enough
for Man United. No, it ain't good enough.
Neil, what do you think about it?
15.
But considering the player that we all thought David De Gea used to be, gotta remember he was like Ritton said, Golden Glove winner.
Mm-hmm. Best in the world 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not a full of grace, but 12 clean sheets is a good amount for Man United where they are now.
You know, like, Man United have rebounded lately, but De Gea hasn't, has he?
Nope.
No.
He's been the only one who hasn't, really.
That really kind of stands out, doesn't it? Where Man United is improving everywhere, but De Gea is just not.
He's worsening.
Yeah, it's unacceptable for a club that's supposed to be a top club.
And especially, like we said, when you've got someone like Romero on the bench, the best backup keeper, and could certainly make it in the Prem.
I'm going to kick the voting off. I'm going to say first team. I think in terms of a shot stopper, he's one of the best I've ever seen. But mentally, he's not strong enough to be a world class.
Collins?
Yeah.
I'm going to be controversial and put him down to squad player.
I'm going to agree.
Okay.
Oh,
Neil.
I would put him first team.
Which means it comes down to you, Mangan.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. I think looking at all the stats and considering this isn't like a one-off season as well, this is a continuation. It's going to be squad player.
Yes, I think he deserves it. 2 seasons of this now, not just 1 season, 2 seasons. If we were talking after last season, I'd put him first team still, obviously, but I think 2 seasons of the way he's performed. I think he deserves it.
Collins is in shock.
Actually, no, wait, I just agree with Collins. Maybe I'm wrong.
You and Mike agreed with me.
Well, there we go.
Okay.
He's in squad player.
Neil, who have you got for us next?
Where should we go next? How about we take a break from the highlights and go with McCarthy from Southampton? Because, well, what were you going to say? What a player!
Yeah.
World class, yeah.
Yeah. Remember what I said a bit earlier about a lot of mediocre players being here? You said another one. What do you say about this guy?
What is there to say about this guy?
Well, what I would say about him is when Southampton got beat 9-0 earlier on the season, I believe Angus Gunn was the starting keeper then.
Yep.
And after that, they put Alex McCarthy in. And since then, their rise up the table has been meteoric. They've had a solid defensive record, solid attacking record, and he's been signalled out by a lot of commentators, pundits, as having a pretty good season.
Yeah, that pundit's looking for the hot take.
But I still think he has.
What I will say though, 3 errors leading to goals. That's one of the highest, isn't it?
And that's in only 27 appearances as well, because Angus Gunn started the season. So that is quite high. But
sorry, every 9 games.
Hang on a second. Alex McCarthy, right? Actually, only has 1 error. I think, Mangan, you were looking at Angus Gunn's, but you saw Southampton.
I'm on Alex McCarthy's.
I see 3 errors as well.
Oh, sorry, wrong season.
Oh my god! Nothing but the best research from the Tier List podcast.
My bad. One. Yeah, you're right. It's 3. Yeah, I was good. Yeah, my bad. Hold my hands up.
Oh, that's bad.
Hold my hands up. We got it wrong.
And you say they've tightened up the defence. He's still only got 27 clean sheets and 27 appearances.
Yeah, but again, small sample size.
It's not as small as like Lloris or Reina.
Yeah, but that number, the way Southampton been playing, they could easily have gotten more clean sheets, and if his appearance would have been extended.
He's not exactly a player who inspires confidence in a sense of, if you were forced to name all the Premier League goalkeepers, I think Alex McCarthy would be one you'd certainly have left out. He's not the best. Like, I wouldn't I wouldn't expect many other clubs to really take him. I don't know how you feel about that.
No one would want to sign him, and I have Jordan Pickford as my starting keeper.
Neil, you picked him. What's your opinion on the man?
I would probably put him in squad player. Like I said, I just think he has. I mean, there's just nothing really to say, is there?
I think that's very generous because I was thinking about putting him in bottom tier.
No, bottom tier.
So,
What?
Yeah.
Like, what mistake did he make exactly?
I was going to agree with Neil and put him squad player because, since I think he's actually had, disregarding the mistakes, I think that can make it look worse than it is. I don't remember him making major errors, and I know for a fact he's had a pretty good season, and he's been a decent part of Southampton's rise up the table.
Well,
Before this season, I might have put him transfer list or bench at best, but based on this season, I'll be putting him squad player.
Collins,
This is the Callum Wilson thing all over again. No, he has one good season, and suddenly you think he's good. No, he's bench at best. He's nothing. No one would want to have him in their club.
Well, Southampton seem all right with him. I mean,
And
I think.
And I bet they sign a keeper in the summer.
Well, I mean, we can't really judge on something that hasn't happened yet. So, I think he's, Neil said about mediocrity before, and he probably does fit somewhere into that. I would agree with a squad player personally. He's basically middle of the table save percentage. He's outperforming his expected goals against. 7 clean sheets in 27 appearances is all right. It's not special, but it's not bad either. So yeah, the 3 hours, okay, that's not the best stat in the world, but the rest of the stats are pretty solid. So for that reason, squad player.
I think it's quite generous to call someone mediocre, then put them in the middle tier.
Well,
not really, because mediocre is not necessarily a terrible thing for a keeper, because that can just mean he's not an outstanding, but he's
in the
reliable.
Middle of the pack kind of thing. Yeah.
I think we've been outvoted here, Collins.
Neil, so would you rather sign Alex McCarthy than just keep Jordan Pickford?
I would probably rather sign Alex McCarthy.
Neil would spend money on Alex McCarthy. That's my main takeaway of this podcast.
I just don't understand, what's he ever done so wrong?
He's a bench player who was in the Championship for so many seasons because he could never prove it in the Prem.
And then he has proven it in the Prem?
No, right. No, this is like saying Callum Wilson's proved it in the Prem, and now Bournemouth are going to get relegated because people think that he's good still.
I mean, he is good still.
Oh no.
He's not good.
Okay, moving on. No more Callum Wilson.
Speaking of Bournemouth, how about we talk about Ramsdale?
Oh, there's a conversation I've been waiting to have.
Ramsdale, he's about where I'd expect for where Bournemouth are. I don't think he's a very good player. I think they took a gamble on a young English keeper, thinking, you know what, if he goes well, there's the position sort of for 10 years and a homegrown spot used. And 5 clean sheets says it all.
Oh my word! This isn't even a lie. I thought Ramsdale was brought in during halfway through the season. He's played every game bar one. That's mental. I
mean, I think he summed it up perfectly. I think he's in that team because he's young and he's English, not necessarily because he's good. It's fashionable to have young English players in your squad. So they took a chance on him because they didn't have a lot of other options. They didn't want to go out and buy a new keeper because they felt they could spend money better in other areas. But I don't think it's worked out. 5 clean sheets, did you say? I mean, I think that's the lowest in the league. When I've seen him, I haven't been impressed at all. I haven't seen him ever do anything outstanding. I think he's literally just in there because he's young and English.
Yeah, do we really need to debate this guy? This is Joe Linton and Joe Linton territory for a keeper.
Can't wait for him to win the Golden Glove next year in the Championship or wherever that. I don't think there's much to say about him. I think transfer list.
Yep. And Everton will buy him for 26 million.
Neil, would you
agree?
Would you agree with that assessment?
Yep, absolutely, 100%, no complaints.
All right. And Ritson, did you vote?
I didn't vote, but I would agree with what you guys have said. A bit of a nothing keeper, to be honest. Yeah.
Maybe he might come up in form in the Championship.
No, that's
maybe
it. His career's over. He's 21.
Maybe.
His career's over.
Maybe he's more
he's 22.
Is it? Oh, what? Oh.
He might be more suited to the Championship. We'll only have to wait and see. I am going to keep with the English, but I'm going to look at the other end of the age barrier. I'm going to be looking at Ben Foster. Been in the Prem for many a year now. Played for United, West Brom, Watford. I'm sure there's a couple more, aren't there? Birmingham as well. This season, 37 appearances, 61 goals. Oh my God.
61 goals.
Bloody hell.
What a return.
Goals conceded.
2
errors leading to goals and 9 clean sheets in all. One of them being against Liverpool. How?
And in that moment, I say world class.
What do we think about Ben Foster? He is something of a Premier League stalwart. He's gone off it a lot. Can all the blame be on him? Because
I think that's incredibly harsh that he's gone off. I think he's still going strong at his age. I mean, he is. Ben Foster's still an excellent keeper, in my opinion. I think it looks worse because he's been at Watford this season and they've done terribly, but he's got a very poor defence in front of him. I think he's always been a very good keeper who I've seen make countless amounts of incredible saves over the years, and he's still going strong at his age, 36 or something like that.
37.
I've always really raised him as a keeper, and I still do. I don't think I've seen anything this season that makes me doubt that.
I think Ben Foster's finally went off the cliff. You talk about how his defence is such an issue, then how was he so much better last season? It's the exact same defence that's in front of him. So you can't use the defence as an excuse because it's the exact same he had previously, but suddenly now they're so much worse. Now, admittedly, part of that does have to go down to the horrific management that Watford has in terms of ownership, who have sacked their third manager this season. And honestly, they might sack the caretaker after they lost 4-0 by now, I reckon. But yeah, no, he's not had a good year. He's declining heavily, and it's over for him.
I think this is going to be the last time we see him in the Prem, to be honest with you. Yeah. If they go down, I think he's going to have a couple of seasons in the Championship, and I think that's going to be it for him. He has been a good keeper in the past, but I think he's started to show his age, really, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he has the fourth lowest save percentage in the league, which is never a good stat to have, no matter what defence you have in front of you. Especially since 2 of the keepers below him are actually in, top half teams. Yeah, I kind of agree with going off the cliff a little. I don't think he's the worst keeper in the world now or anything. And I think he's been a very solid keeper over the years. But we can't judge him over all those years because, he's declined. So I think what Cons is saying is actually quite fair to an extent.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Yeah, and it'll be.
Oh, I really
and it will stay that way forever.
I really want to swear at Collins then, because after that,
he's underperforming his expected goals against. Obviously, he's not doing that well for clean sheets. What? Not 9? That's not bad for Watford, to be fair. But still, the other stats, not amazing. stuff, really, not stuff that's going to do well for him in this debate.
The 9 clean sheets are probably what saves him from transfer list for me.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I thought bench at best.
I think he's going bench at best for me.
Neil, what's your opinion before we get everyone else's votes?
I mean, you're saying he's on the decline. Why is it so decline and not just a loss of form? Because goalkeepers can bounce back even when they're quite old. So why is it not being treated as a loss of form rather than like as a decline? Why?
He's 37, and I also think he just hasn't been as good this season. It's not really a loss of form when you've started every game. That's your level of play now. If you're doing 37 games in a row of that,
like it's not necessarily his fault. Watford have been keeping old goalies for quite a bit now. I think Aurelio Gomez is getting wheeled out of a retirement home just for trying to play games.
He's still on the bench. It's crazy.
Which is mental. Is he in his 40s now, Gomez?
No, he's only 39. He's got a few years left.
Yeah, they had Almunia before that as well. He was nearing the end. Yeah, I think he's bench at best. I think if we were talking about this last season, I think he could have been in squad player, but I think he's a bench at best for me.
I think you just have to look at what Watford's team is, though. I mean, who are their starting defence? Is it Janmat, Dawson, Mariappa, and who?
Well,
Messina usually right now.
Well, Kabasele has played a lot.
Okay. Well, Janmat, Dawson, and Mariappa at 31, 30, and 33. It's just with 37-year-old Foster in goal. It's a bit fair to say why Watford are going down. Or if they do go down, I may have just cursed it for Villa.
Sorry, Villa. If any Villa fans are listening to this after Sunday and you have gone down, sorry, not sorry.
My sister's boyfriend's a Villa fan.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So go on. So Neil, what's your vote then?
Bench at best.
And
I've been outvoted.
Lucky.
I would have said squad player, but I've been outvoted.
How does it feel to be the only person who doesn't agree with the consensus party?
That's a nice change for once, you know. Don't always want to go with the crowd.
Listen to him. I think Paddy, yeah, we're on the final lap.
Is it back to me? Oh, good. Well, I think it's my duty to get a very boring choice out of the way before we focus on the last 4 interesting choices.
Bernd Leno.
I'm going to talk about Edison. No, joking. Gaeta, if that's how you say his name, from
Vincente Gaeta, I think it is, yeah.
Yes. 10 clean sheets this season. 2 errors leading to goals. I think he's been known as a fairly reliable keeper generally, but he's made a couple of mistakes this season where Roy Hodgson's had to come out and defend him and say, listen, usually he keeps us in games, so he's allowed the odd mistake, 1 or 2. And I think he's a keeper they like a lot, and he's done pretty well for them. It's hard to comment too much. I don't watch Crystal Palace a lot because they don't score that many goals, but they clearly don't concede that many goals either because of where they end up facing in the table, and I'm sure he plays a part in that.
Yeah, 10 clean sheets says it all, really.
Similar to Ramsdale for me, I didn't realise he played so many games. I thought it was mixing it between him and Hennessy. He's not really someone who, again, not someone who jumps off the sheet for you. But 10 clean sheets isn't bad, especially the way Palace play. They're quite solid defensively, even though they do have Mamadou Sakho as a centre-back.
Mamadou Sakho's their best centre-back.
Which...
don't disrespect Sakho.
I mean, I love the guy, but, I wouldn't see him in a Liverpool shirt again. Oh yeah, 10 clean sheets is very respectable. Errors leads to goals 2, own goals 1. It's the first time I've seen an own goal from a keeper on this list for this season. I actually got confused with West Ham's like backup keeper. Was it Eduardo?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How bad was
What?
he? Jesus.
Oh my word, Eduardo. No,
Was it
wasn't
Eduardo?
It wasn't Eduardo. It was I believe it was Roberto.
Roberto, that's the one.
That's the one.
Roberto, possibly the worst keeper in Premier League history.
So like I got quite.
I know. To be fair, Karius might go for that.
You see, the thing is, Paddy, he was only horrific in the Champions League final. Roberto
No, Karius was horrific that whole season.
It's not as bad as Roberto, though.
No, to be fair, probably not. But let me know. That says a lot.
Neil, what do you think about this interesting character?
What is an interesting character?
I don't know.
Sarcasm.
I think it was sarcasm.
I always thought he was a pretty impressive keeper, to be honest. You know, like a keeper with a really big presence. You know, he's quite tall, isn't he? Quite, I think. And you know, I feel like when the ball comes into the box, he's got that kind of habit of punching it, that very continental habit. But you know, he's actually quite successful with it because of his like height and all that kind of stuff. I think he's a keeper who's surprisingly fun to watch if you've ever looked at him play. Like
Would you say he's like eccentric, quite eccentric?
Yeah, but also capable of quite a good save, and like I said, he's pretty good at commanding his area too.
Yeah. Does anyone really have anything else to say about Quater, to be honest?
No.
No.
Not really. I just wanted to get him out of the way, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we've got 4 interesting ones after this, so shall we vote?
I'll kick off with squad player.
Yeah, I think squad play is pretty fair, to be fair. You two agree, Neil Ritson?
Yeah, squad player.
I would put him in first team.
Oh, wow.
Fair enough.
Oh, well, unfortunately it's in squad player, but very high commendation there.
Quater will be there smiling at home, just, feeling
with the subtitles on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ritson.
It's on me. Okay. I'm gonna go for Pope. I'm gonna go for Nick Pope.
Okay.
Burnley's keeper. I think he's had a fantastic season for Burnley. He might win the Golden Glove, which would be exceptional considering the team he's playing for. I know Burnley are, with the way they play, they can be quite a team that gets quite a few clean sheets. But if you look at the amount of goals they've conceded, they're not actually one of the very top defenses in the league. But 15 clean sheets for Pope this season, the 4th most saves in the league, for a defense that, as I said, wasn't one of the top ones, but is far from being at the other end of the table. So he's been a big part of why they've had such a good season for clean sheets and that. If you look at any of his stats, he performs well. His save percentage is over 70%, which is always a good thing. Outperforms expected goals. I think he's very good at commanding his area in terms of when crosses come in and stuff. He seems like quite confident and able to pluck balls out of the air pretty easily. I think he's a really good keeper and probably should be England's number 1.
I could not agree more with that last statement. I think he will be England's number 1.
I mean, he doesn't have any competition, to be fair. But... But even still.
Yeah, I know.
Even still, I mean, that clean sheet's at 16 for Bailey. That's incredible, to be honest. Looking to get the Golden Glove this year. Probably going to get the team of the season. How old is he?
23, isn't he?
Pope?
28.
I know he's very young. I know he's
28.
Oh, what?
28, yeah.
28. I thought he was well.
God. Oh my God, he's 28.
My word.
I mean, that is still reasonably young for a keeper, but I thought he was younger than that. That's crazy to see, but no, he's had an excellent season, and it's not just a case of he's got a great defensive front. He does. Bailey's defenders are fantastic, and the system they play is very organised. But he also does have to make quite a number of saves as well. If you remember back to the Liverpool game a couple of weeks ago,
I was gutting.
like, he was one of the main reasons they got a draw out of that game, if not the main reason. Performed fantastically in that game, and is a big presence. Very tall goalkeeper, commanding, and will be England's number one for sure when we return.
Yeah, Neil,
I think
Collins.
there is a case where you do have to wonder what will happen if he ever is in a system different to what Burnley have. You can't look at his performances and not think he does benefit from the fact that Burnley defends so well, and also he doesn't have to do what Alisson and Ederson do with passing as well. So there is the case there that you've got to see how good can he truly get. But yeah. I mean, in terms of shot stopping, he's one of the best in the league, and he's a fantastic keeper.
Yeah, I mean, Burnley have the ninth best defense in terms of goals conceded, but Pope's got the fourth most saves, which again shows he's obviously a big part of that defense. Doing well and getting the amount of clean sheets that they've managed to get. So annoying when we played against him at Anfield a couple of weeks ago and just saved basically everything. Some amazing saves. Anyone else got anything else to say about Pope?
I think he's world class.
Well,
I honestly think he's
hold
world
on. To me, he's one of those players where you want to, before you maybe go straight into a world class with him, you want to see him play for a different team, like a bigger club where he might be challenged a bit more, and you want to kind of see how he faces in that scenario before you say world class.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You can't put him in world class yet.
Like if he replaced De Gea at United and all of a sudden their defensive record went up, loads, and they were challenging for titles again, you'd be like, yeah, for sure, world class. But I think you need to see more for me.
Neil?
Yeah.
First team, I would put him.
Yeah, same.
First team.
All right. First team it is. We have a lot of first team.
Alisson's very lonely, yeah.
Yeah, Collins, you're going to change that?
No. I'm going to talk about the most expensive goalkeeper in world football, a man who is worth more money than Alisson. The man who is literally perfect named for his position, Kepa. Surname also not going to be said.
I knew you'd take Kepa.
Of course I was taking Kepa. Look, how about, you want to talk about sunken cost fallacy, like with De Gea's wages? 86 million on this keeper when a season ago his release clause was 18. My word, what a waste of money.
Yeah.
Broken as well.
Yeah,
he refused. Like in his last game against you guys, there was a time where he just didn't even try and go for a cross. His entire defense looked at him,
I know what you mean,
and yelled at him for it.
And the free kick, like, I'm not saying he would have got to it, but the lack of anticipation, he obviously knows where Trent's going. Like, the position and the lack of anticipation for that is not the sign of the world's most expensive goalkeeper.
Yeah, the one Cons on, I think it was from a free kick that was laid off for Robertson to cross in. It didn't go that, like, it was quite close to his goal. I think he could have came out, but he was froze, and you just hear, because there's no crowd noise or anything, you can hear in the video, all the defenders go, Kepa, 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 and he just stands there and does nothing. And then Van Dijk does a pretty bad miss, to be fair, but he just stood there and didn't move. He has, and by far the worst save percentage in the league, 54%, which is nearly 10% worse than anyone else. Nearly 10% worse than Pickford. Now that's a really poor.
Is that the worst save percentage in the league?
Huh?
You said Pickford had the worst.
No,
save
I said second worst behind. Wait, we'll get to that later on.
Okay.
And here we are later on, and we're on about Kepa, who's I mean, when you're a lot worse than Pickford, you really do need to evaluate what's going on.
How many clean sheets did Ben Foster have? Or was it 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin's got 8 for Chelsea. I mean, he's played 33 games, so he's missed 4. But to be fair, it's not that much. To be fair, he hasn't missed that many. And you can't see Chelsea keeping a lot of clean sheets. Well, I've only got 1 game left, but yeah, like you can't see them keeping another one really. The way they're defending, and he's a big part of that. I mean, you're talking the world's most expensive goalkeeper here, and the lowest save percentage in the league. That's appalling.
Yeah. Another thing, and go ahead.
To defend Chelsea, they were in a really tough situation of being forced to sell Courtois on deadline day due to the fact that he just refused to show up to training and was not going to show up to any games. They had to buy someone via the buyout clause.
Yeah, it was a bit of a panic buy.
The Athletic Bilbao squad and had a buyout clause because he was Spanish, because he played in Spain and it's a legal requirement.
Yeah, it was a bit of a panic buy, but I don't want to be too harsh with him in the terms of the price tag because it's not his fault with the price tag. But at the same time, even if he cost 20-30 million, we'd still be saying, lowest save percentages in the league. I mean, that's
by far.
You know what summed up Kepa for me, really? Different competition, but last season's League Cup final.
That's the moment that broke him.
When he flat out refused to leave the field. For Caballero, who, let's be honest, is probably the better goalkeeper in terms of penalty saves.
Yeah, the thing is with that, though, there was a misunderstanding, though. He thought they wanted to sub him because he had a knock. But really, it was the plan. Apparently, it was the plan all along to bring Caballero on for the penalties.
Well, if it was the plan all along, then he should have known.
Well, that's what I mean. But then is that Sarri's fault then?
That's probably a BS story to try and save him some face. Let's be honest.
Yeah, there's no way
possibly
that's true. Because
I think
otherwise you are because at the end of the day you'd have Azpilicueta then going, hey mate, no, that's the plan. Remember that you're meant to go off for penalties. And
if he knew if he knew the plan, then that just makes it even worse.
Well, maybe he didn't know maybe it wasn't like the plan before the game, but they decided it in extra time. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Conspiracy
I'm not going to
theories
give him any excuses for what he did.
Awful.
Also, let's just talk about that save percentage. 54. That means literally every other shot, near enough, he's letting in. Every other, nearly 1 in 2 shots, he's letting in for a goal. That's awful. That's so bad. And this might be even worse. Talk about Chelsea's defence and the best and whatever. He is underperforming against expected goals the worst by miles. Apparently, if he was on average for expected goals, Chelsea would have conceded 9 less goals this season than they have in the league. 9. So he's let in 9 more goals than expected for the average Premier League keeper. I mean, that is embarrassing.
Neil, what do you think about him? Because at the end of the day, he is the most expensive keeper in the world. But yeah,
he is young, right? He's only 25, so you might say, all right, when Chelsea bought him, they were looking at his potential. But that whole incident in the League Cup final shows a great deal of arrogance, doesn't it? And kind of like I said with Pickford, a goalkeeper with a bad attitude is poisonous. And this guy, he certainly doesn't seem to have the skill to back it up either. I would transfer list him, no doubt at all.
I've got to agree with Neil on this.
I agree. Awful keeper.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree because at the end of the day, he is the most expensive keeper and he's performing the worst in the whole Premier League.
Oh yeah, worst keeper in the league.
Well. Neil, it's your last go. Choice of 2.
How about Ederson? We haven't done Ederson, have we?
Nope.
No, we haven't.
No. Perfect goalkeeper for the team he plays in, shall we say. Absolutely fantastic on the ball. And he's got the saving ability, stopping ability to back it up too. But mainly, the epitome of a modern goalkeeper who's all about the footwork.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's a really good goalkeeper. He's constantly competing for the Golden Glove. He's a great passer as well. He's like Alisson. He's a great passer.
Has there ever been a goalkeeper like more important to a team than Ederson is to Man City? Like not just in terms of his playing from the back. It's so important to them.
Yeah, the amount of times you watch City and they get pressed in their own box and they use Ederson to make a triangle of players so they can work their way out of those situations and then move the ball outfield without hoofing it and making sure they have control. It's amazing how they do it every time and very, very rarely get caught out. And a big part of that is Ederson being so skillful with his feet and so competent and just calm on the ball. It's revolutionary.
Yeah. He's had 15 clean sheets this season. That's very good, especially considering City's defensive problems this season in terms of injuries and that.
Mm-hmm.
3 errors leading to goals, which surprises me a bit because you see him as like a reliable keeper. But some keepers have off games, and he's had a few more than usual this season. But I'm not going to judge him too much on that. I think we all know where he's going. He's a brilliant keeper.
He is.
Yeah.
He's world class. It's similar to Alisson. He gets in trouble with his feet. I think one of the mistakes this season was the McTominay goal in the Manchester derby, where he kicked it out. And you could say that it wasn't all his fault because Mendy should have been getting to the ball quicker, but still, it was a mistake. But yeah, he's an excellent goalkeeper and well deserving of world class.
Yeah, I mean, he still had a good season, even though he nearly killed his teammate against Arsenal. But we can't really hold that against him, too much. He's eccentric, and sometimes those mistakes happen where he rushes out and he gets caught out, or he does a mistake with like a throw, which caught out.
But again, it's the amount of risks they take in relation to how many mistakes they make.
Yeah, it's the part of the game he plays, and he's still a world class keeper for me, anyway.
Yeah, it's world class, gotta be.
Yeah, Neil.
Yeah, I think that's fair. World class.
How lucky are Brazil, by the way?
I mean, it's lucky but unlucky at the same time. They've got to bench one of them.
True. I would hate to be the manager and having to bench a player like that.
Right. Okay. So we got the last one. Bernd Leno for Arsenal. Now Leno is a difficult one for me, because I see him as very inconsistent. There are times where he really makes some big mistakes in big games, but there are other times when he's absolutely unstoppable. And I think one thing. Arsenal against Chelsea, he made a massive mistake for that, which caused them to lose the game in the end. But then I have to look at Arsenal against City, where, they got battered, but they'd have gotten beat by 6 or 7 if it wasn't for Leno himself. He's a middle man for me, really. He can create massive mistakes, but at the same time, he can save you. And I think between January to March, when the lockdown came in, he was pretty decent. He was on a bit of a tear.
Well, he came from Germany with a bit of a reputation for being an excellent shot stopper who's a little bit error prone. But since he's been at Arsenal, I don't remember him being that error prone. I can remember a couple of mistakes that he's made in maybe North London derbies. But I can also remember some excellent games he's had in those games as well. I think he's absolutely an excellent shot stopper. His reflexes are incredible. And to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of the error proneness that I expected to see from him. 2 errors leading to goals this season, which seems to be kind of a standard amount. Considering how many chances Arsenal give up, it's not too bad. Only 7 clean sheets, but again, only 30 appearances as well. And he's got David Luiz in front of him, so give him a break.
Neil, what do you think about him?
I think Arsenal fans really rave about him, don't they? They really think he's a pretty good keeper, like a really solid keeper. I think he's probably a player who's improved over time too. Like since he's first joined Arsenal and to now, like he's become a lot less error prone. I think now he's a solid pair of hands who most teams will be very happy to have in their lineup.
And he is still young at 28, and I'll be honest, I did watch Arsenal Fan TV when he got injured, and they were talking about how much of a loss he... Yeah, I know.
Has anyone seen Ty?
It's
when he kneels for the Black Lives Matter, then he says thank you to the NHS, and without even breathing, walks straight to the camera and starts having a go at Neil Maupay. It's some of the most incredible YouTube you'll ever see.
I need to see that then, because
you have to see it. You have to see it.
It's bad because he starts off so well, like praising like amazing causes, then he like basically tries to abuse Neil Maupay.
Well, anyway, back to Bernd Leno. Arsenal have conceded, I think, the 7th least goals in this season, which is actually a bit surprising. But Leno, he's missed 7 games. And if he hadn't, the way his stats suggest, he would actually have made the most saves in the entire league, which is quite extraordinary that Arsenal would still only have the 7th best defense if he's having to make, they're actually having the most shots against them per game. He's got the 2nd highest save percentage behind Hugo Lloris, easily outperforming his expected goals against, and okay, the clean sheets, but again, as Paddy said, he's got David Luiz in front of him, so you've got to cut him some slack. I also noticed the errors leading to goal 2 this season. He's definitely improved a lot, because last season he had 5, and I think people were a little bit unsure about him, but this season he's really upped his level and proven just how good a keeper he can be. So yeah, I think he'll be going, upwards in these tiers.
Onwards and upwards. Yeah, Rich, fair play. I think you said it best, really. Like I said, he's still young, and I do kind of expect to see a lot more of him as the years go by.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else to say about
it? No.
No. Shall we vote then?
That's first.
Yeah. First team.
Yeah, I'm gonna say first team.
First team for me as well. Yeah.
He's quality. Neil.
Yep, first team.
Yeah, I concur with that. I also think a couple more seasons with how good he's been like this, he could be going into world class, but we'll see how we'll see how he develops. But he definitely has. I think he has potential to be there. I know he's 27 now, but he's as a keeper, plenty of years to go, and can definitely improve still.
Yeah, my word. If this was a team, then I'd really feel sorry for whoever's in the first team and gets benched. 7 first teamers. Thanks everyone for listening. We have Twitter and Instagram if you guys want to follow it at the Tier List Podcast. We now have Apple Podcasts. Thank you very much for that, Paddy, for sorting that out with us. We also have Spotify, Google Podcasts, our sponsors today, Anchor, who are absolutely amazing. Go check them out. From all of us, though, here, from me, Collins, Neil, Paddy and Ritson, this has been the Tier List, and we will see you later.